What do you want to do? That's already.
Now turn the lights off.
It's about the sun. I want the lights on. Just have a good angle with me.
Alright, waterfall. Before we jump into the lesson, I just kind of want to remind us what we were talking about right before testing, because it has been a while. So we've been learning a lot about how the sun affects the earth. So this is kind of that final lesson, talking about how the sun hits the earth. Okay, so I'm going to do a little demonstration here in a minute. And I want you on page 80, go ahead and put your finger in that empty box. You're going to be drawing what you see here in a minute in that box. All I want you to do is draw where you see the lights. And then we're going to talk about what this light represents in terms of the sun. So here we go. Alright. Flashlight represents what?
The sun.
The sun. Okay, here we go. Let's say, and the ceiling is going to be my earth. So I have the sun shining on the earth. What do you guys see? Raise your hand. Ian?
I see the sun up there.
This is the sun. So what do you think that represents?
The light.
The light? Okay, DeAndre?
What does that flashlight represent?
No, the flashlight represents the sun. So what is it? What does the ceiling and what we see represent?
The earth. Oh,
The ceiling does represent the earth. So what do we see happening? Raise your hand, please. Andy, what do you think? The light. Okay. Leslie? Okay. Josue?
The light of the sun is reflecting onto the earth.
Perfect. What else does sun provide us besides light, though? DeAndre?
Heat.
Heat. Okay, let's stick with heat here. Okay, so if the ceiling is the earth and the flashlight is the sun, we see the sun hitting the earth right there, right? You guys see this like smaller circle in the middle?
Yeah.
And then you see like the bigger one kind of around it?
Yeah.
Okay, where do you think the most heat or the hottest point is on the
Middle.
earth right now? Raise your hand.
The mid.
New people. Right, Yami, go ahead. In that middle. Okay, so this is what I want you to draw right now in the box. Draw that center circle right there that you see. Draw that in the box. So this is going to represent the sun directly hitting the earth. That center circle right there. It's going to be our most intense part, the most intense heat. Just draw a little circle to represent that. Give me a thumbs up when you're good. You have that circle in there. Perfect. Okay. So this is the sun directly hitting the earth, right? Now, a little background information we know is that the earth is tilted, right? So the sun isn't always hitting the earth directly. Sometimes it's at an angle. So I want you to look at that center circle that we just drew and tell me what's happening to it. What do you notice? Raise your hand and tell me what you notice happening when I hit the ceiling now at an angle. Josue? It looks like it's stretching a little bit. You guys see that?
Yeah.
Is it as concentrated right here?
No.
No, it kind of like opens up a little bit, I think. Let's go the other way. You can see on this side. Does it look as small, I guess?
No, it looks bigger.
A little bit bigger? Okay, so here's what I want you to do. You're going to draw, so you have this center circle right now on your paper. I want you to draw what it looks like when you angle it going up, and then draw what it looks like going down, or left and right, it's up to you. So you have this circle right here drawn on your paper. Draw what that circle now looks like when I angle it to the side. And then draw what it looks like when I angle it to the other side. Just on Melanie, we're drawing what that center light looks like.
Wait, both of them?
Mm-hmm.
Mine was like alien.
That's okay.
No, like good.
But okay, so are they on, so if this is the center, is it on just on one side of it, or is it on the left and maybe the right?
Oh. So I'm supposed to do like that.
And-
Like,
Right. Alright, so let's talk about this for a second as you're drawing. So we said this is where the sun is directly hitting the earth, right? And it's probably very what?
hot.
Hot. Hot, very concentrated, very intense heat, right? right? So if I move this, is it still just as hot, you think, over there as right here?
No.
Why not? Raise your hand and tell me why you think not, Brighton.
Oh, you give me the hardest one.
You raised your hand.
Because when it's like right there, I don't know.
When it's right here,
Come back to me on the difference.
Alright, so we have an idea? The angle, what do you think the angle is doing though? Why is it not as hot, you think? Maybe it's moving, Yami? Spreading the heat, I like that. Ian?
It's because since most heat is in one side, it gets less heat on the middle or the west parts.
Okay, any other thoughts, DeAndre?
I think since when the sun is at an angle, it covers that side of the earth, and since it's spreading out, there's going to be less heat because the heat has to go to the middle.
To more places, good. So just one thing I want to correct, the sun doesn't tilt at an angle, the earth does. So the earth's tilting, and so the sun's hitting it
The sun's
that way,
always
right?
the
Okay.
sun's always
But I like that. It's having to spread out and cover more area when I angle it, right? Okay, so your drawing should look hopefully something like this. And if it doesn't, please fix it. So we had our concentrated sun's directly hitting the earth here. If you didn't color it in, that's okay. But then it kind of spread out. So we had a kind of an oval shape going to one side and an oval shape going to the other. If you wrote it on either side, left or right, that's okay too. Oh, please raise your hand if you have something like this, so I know. Alright, so keeping this idea about the sun hitting the earth, okay? We're gonna work through these questions, but I'm gonna give you time to do them without me. I want you to read them with your group and answer them as best as you can, okay? Number one, explain the data you just collected in your investigation. Give me one sentence. What did we just do? Explain it in your own words. I'm gonna give you 2 minutes. It's 1:39. By 1:41, I want you to have an answer here. Explain in your own words what we just discussed.
ourselves.
Ready, go. No, with your group. Ready, go.
Heat and those.
One more minute. Explain what we just did in your own words, and you may talk to your group members if you need to. All right, here we go. Just want to hear from a couple of you. Maybe give you guys some ideas. So what did you write, or what were you gonna write? Directly.
Thank you.
Okay, so Saul was saying when it was directly hitting the ceiling, it was bright, and when it was angled, it wasn't as bright. Did I use the word bright?
No.
What word did I use?
Sunlight.
Sunlight, but I used something else.
Heat.
More in.
Heat.
More heat works. More
Concentrated?
Intense was the word I used.
I said
Let's use that word
intense.
intense. If we don't have a sentence written down, guys, then you're not following directions. I asked you to write a sentence answering question number 1. I'm calling one more person. Trinity, what'd you write?
When the sunlight expands, there's less heat and heat.
Okay, so when the sunlight had to spread out, maybe there was less heat. I like that. Okay, number 2. Which angle So we either have this 45-degree angle, and I didn't mention that, guys, sorry. We're gonna call this our 45-degree angle of light.
Write that in our box.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. And this one's gonna be our 90-degree angle of light, just so we have angles to use. Which angle created the smallest area of light on the ceiling? You're gonna write that out. And why do you think that is? So you're either gonna choose 90-degree angle light or 45-degree angle light. Which angle created the smallest area of light on the ceiling? I'm gonna give you another 2 minutes to make a complete sentence. You may talk to your group about it. Ready, go. By 1:45, I want you to be done. Which angle created the smallest area of light on the ceiling? 90-degree angle light or 45-degree angle light? And then why do you think that is? Light on the smallest area.
There's no more light.
Well, let's see. Like a 90? Or one side. The right should be. Not intended. Oh, no. ¿Por qué?
One more minute. Say that. And have a good reason why. Why is it that way? Which angle created the smallest area of light?
Oh, 9 parts.
Alright, here we go. I want to hear what you guys wrote.
The middle.
Oh, again. What's picking on you today? What do you think? You think it's the 45-degree angle light? How come? It wasn't what? As dark? Okay. Which angle created the smallest area of light? Unique, what'd you write? And why do you think the 90-degree area light?
Is it small?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I like that. So the 90-degree angle light made this small circle. The 45-degree area light, it spread out. So that shape got bigger and longer, right? I like that. Okay. Number 3. We should be on number 3. Which angle led to the light being spread out farther? We kind of just answered that for you, so put in a good sentence. Which angle led to the light being spread out farther and why? Another 2 minutes. By 1:48, I want this sentence written down. Ready, go. Which angle led to the light being spread out farther and why? Which angle led to the light being spread out farther then? 30 more seconds. Alright, here we go. Which angle led to the light being spread out farther and why? Maria, what do you think? The oval, what angle is that, did I say? 45-degree angle. So why do you think that one is spread out more? It made like a bigger area. It's stretched out. Okay, I want to hear from one more person. Thank you, Maria. Brighton? You got this. Why do you think, like we're going to agree with Maria, why are these spread out more? What did I do with the flashlight?
I feel because the middle, like how you're holding it up, like right there, it's like close to the ceiling, so then it has more of the light. And then once it's spread out, it just goes across.
So what did I do to make it spread out?
You moved it at an angle.
I moved the light at an angle. Okay, please make sure you add that in there, guys. Like, take a look at your answer. Please add in there that I moved the flashlight at an angle as well. All right, number 4. If you were able to measure the temperature of the two circles, because remember the flashlight represented what?
The heat.
The sun, the heat from the sun, right? So if we were able to measure the temperature of those two different circles, we're going to call them, which one's going to be warmer or the warmest?
The 90.
And why? Talk to your group about it. I'm going to give you 3 minutes for this one. I want a really good answer. If you were able to measure the temperature of these two circles, right here, the 45-degree and the 90-degree, which one's gonna be the warmest and why? Which one's gonna be the warmest, have the highest temperature? Ready, go. Which one's gonna be the warmest? This one or this one? Okay, why do we think that? I like that. What word did I use?
Intense.
Intense what? The sun gives us
More intense heat.
and I can you put that in a really nice sentence?
The sun gives us a very intense type of
I was gonna say, because we didn't know which was I thought, the night, the 45 degree angle was closer to the closer to the focus on the so,
what?
talking about temperature. This is gonna be colder? You see what? No, I did. It's gonna be what? Alright, here we go. I heard some really great answers. Juan, what'd you write?
The center is more concentrated because the sun causes more intensity there.
Okay, so you chose the 90-degree angle, the center circle,
Yeah.
because the sun is, say that one more time.
The sun gives more intensity.
It's giving more intensity. Okay, why is it more intense right there? Brighton?
Not at like the angle, like an angle farther away from the middle, like focusing flat.
Focused, it's direct, right? It's in one spot. So why does that mean it's not as warm for the 45-degree angle of light? Why is it less warm over there? Yummy? Yeah, the heat's spreading now. It's not in one area, it's spreading out over across areas. So it's not as intense, it's not as warm. Very nice. All right. Page 81. Now this picture kind of explains that a little bit for us. So take a look at this image right here. Ian, press the X for me. So we have the sun, and it's giving an example of how the sun spreads its light or heat onto the earth. Now we've talked about something many, many times over and over and over again. And it's this line, this imaginary line that divides up the world. Who remembers what it's called? The equator. Okay, where do you think the equator is? DeAndre?
I think the equator is in the middle of the earth.
It's right here, right? Okay, let's draw a line there. There's our equator, and we're going to label it. Now, I want you to take a minute with your group as you're looking at this image. And what do you notice about the sunlight and the equator? And I'm going to ask for what you think here in a minute. What do you notice about the sunlight at the equator? Please talk to your group about it. Share with them what you see.
The light is going everywhere.
What do you notice about the sunlight at the equator?
Sunlight gives light into the earth, and like the 1, 2, 3, 47
Alright, I'm going to take volunteers. What do you guys notice about the sunlight at the equator? Raise your hand and tell me what you noticed. Juan?
It's warmer.
What do you mean?
Bear in mind, miss, I can't.
Okay, what do you notice? There's all these arrows and there's some distances. Let me use... Look at these distances they showed. What do you notice about the distance from the sunlight to the equator? So, did you say it's closer? Okay, do you guys see, please. Do you guys see that the distance from the sunlight to the equator is shortest right here? You guys see that? Mama, you see it? Brighton, you see it?
Yeah.
And then up top of the earth and the bottom, look how far it takes, or it has to take for the sunlight to hit there. And what do we know about the very top and the very bottom? What type of temperatures are there? Cold, right? So,
Is that why Antarctica is so cold?
I think so. So what can we say then? What can we say about the sun and the equator? Is it super cold here? At the equator? What do you think?
No, it's warm.
Hey, why?
Because we learned in this science notebook that everything that's close to the equator is warmer, and what's farther than the equator is.
I like that. So Ian's referencing an old lesson. We learned that locations along the equator are warmest. They're hot. It's tropical. It rains a lot, right? And the further from the equator we get, what happens? Gets colder. So if we were talking about the sun and it being directly hitting the earth or being spread out, what connection can we make between the sun and the equator right now? Where's all the light going? Where's all the heat going? Say that out loud, unique in a sentence. You got this. The sunlight is you just gonna try. Carlos, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sunlight is intense.
On the what do we call that middle part? The equator. Okay, start over. What'd you say?
Sunlight is intense.
The sunlight is very intense along the equator. Raise your hand if you agree with that. It's hot. The sunlight is intense. Okay. The further away from the equator, is the temperature going to increase or decrease? Decrease. It's not as intense, right? So the climate is different at those locations. All right. We're going to put this all together. I have this challenge for you guys. It's called a one-sentence summary. And you're going to create it, a one-sentence summary about locations along the equator and that receive sunlight and make a connection with their temperature. Okay? Here we go. We're going to set this up for each other real quick. So we're going to summarize how the sun is affecting locations along the equator. And press that X for me. Okay, to guide our one-sentence summary here, someone tell me what it is we are learning about today. What did we learn about today? Nobody. Okay,
we learned
Ian, go
about-
ahead.
We learned about this thing.
Anyone have a word for me to write up here? First way.
We learned about how the light of the sun affects the earth.
Okay, so we learned about the sun. And specifically the sun and the thank you, and the equator. And what is it that I'm trying to have you explain? And what is it that I want you to explain? Yami? What do I want you to explain? Okay, talk to your group. What is Ms. Garcia asking you to explain right now? It's on the slide.
Miss Garcia,
Tell your
the
group.
sun
Ready, go.
affects the location along the
Alright, now that I heard many people say what we're trying to explain, please raise your hand and tell me, what are we trying to explain? Carlos?
How the sun affects locations around the equator.
Perfect. We're trying to explain how the sun affects
The equator.
locations along the equator. Okay. So how do we explain that? How do we explain how the sun is affecting locations along the equator? How do we do that? And that's going to be your challenge in a one-sentence summary. That's what makes it a challenge, one sentence. I do have a little bit of a guide for you though. I have a word bank. And you have to use all of these words in your sentence. You need to use the word temperature. You need to use the word equator. You need to use the word sun or sunlight. You need to use the word intense. You need to use the word climate. Your challenge is to use all of those words to explain how the sun affects locations along the equator. I'm going to underline to make sure we know what we're answering here. Okay? I'm going to start with 5 minutes. You do get to work with your team. We're going to write a good question. So put your finger on the conclusion section that's blank on page 81. That is where you are writing your one sentence summary. It is okay to write a sentence and erase and fix it and change it. All of that's okay, because remember, the challenge is one sentence using all 5 of those words. Are you going to only use those 5 words? No, you're going to have some filler words in there, right? It has to make sense. How is the sun affecting locations along the equator? Based off of what we've talked about today, using these 5 words. I'm going to start with 5 minutes. You and your group start coming up with the sentence. Ready, go. You know where they are? I should have a bunch on my desk. How does the sun affect locations along the equator?
So let's use our context clues. What does the sun do to the earth? Has to be one sentence.
You only use one word? 2 words. You use sun-ish. You gotta use all of them.
It's mostly in the equator.
Warm. What word can we throw in there? Warm. Temperatures. Okay. Did you use climate yet? Okay. That's a good one though.
On the equator? No, on the earth.
How is the sun affecting locations along the equator?
Are you guys talking about it?
Un momento, Emily. Right.
Yeah.
What words have you used so far? Think you were going to use temperatures. Yeah. Sun and equator so far? You have something different?
Just think about it.
You don't have to whisper. Oh, okay. What's this? So what does it say? Okay. Make sure you share with them what you wrote. Necesitas escribir un horizonte. No más de uno.
No, we need climate. Temperature.
You have sun. What else? How does the sun affect these locations? Locations where? What do I underline? Locations where? Okay, I got that. How does the sun affect the locations along the equator using those words? regions along the equator and how they receive sunlight and what temperatures and how the sun reflects on them. One second. Equator, good. You got 2 words. Then the sun. What else? You got 1 word. When the sun what? What is the sun doing when the sun what? You can use other words than that. Yeah, the sun. Sun flashes on that. So what are you trying to say? When the sun what? When the sun goes down? That's what we're talking about? I don't think so. 1 second, yeah. Did you share with Evelyn? Okay, I need you. Did you share with Evelyn? Okay, share with her first. Make sure he has all the 5 words on it.
Of course I do. The sun affects the weather because the sun because the sun's intense heat affects the climate. I'm about to say climate. The sun affects the equator because the sun intense heat affects the climate. Because it heats up the Earth's starting warm to the climate. The climate is warm due to the sun. So that's that. When the sun reflects on the equator, sunlight extending around the Earth will cause the temperature to be warm. So we need to throw in, let's say, temperature and what's that other word? Intensity of heat. Temperature and guess not. Did you share it with anyone? Temperature. Did we talk about it? Do you have the same thing? Yes, you can come back now.
So you're putting all the words where it has to make sense. So I like this. The sun affects the location of the equator by the sun. What does the sun give us intense? What does the sun give us? Heat. So the sun provides heat. So the temperature that needs intense heat. The temperature's up or down?
Miss.
Okay, I hope this is not going over there because you're calling me.
I'm not losing my hand like 5 hours.
Alright, it's actually been 7 minutes and I hear some C's and hear some really good sentences. I want you guys to hear them too. Here we go. Evelette, go ahead and read yours out loud, please. You can face me.
The sun affects locations near the equator by having intense sunlight, so that changes the climate and temperature.
Okay, I'm going to read it out loud too so y'all can hear. The sun affects locations near the equator by having intense sunlight, so that changes the climate and the temperature. I like that. How does it affect the temperature though? Does it go up or down? Up. So we can maybe throw in there warm or hot temperature. I like that. Okay. Yami, please read yours.
affects locations along the equator because the temperature influence and cause climate change.
Okay, the sun affects locations along the equator because the temperatures get intense and can cause climate changes along the equator. I'm seeing a lot of climate change. I actually want us to take that out, guys. We didn't talk about climates changing, but we did talk about how climates are what at the equator? What type of climate is there? Hot. So maybe we throw that in. And causes hot climate along the equator. Okay, I'm gonna hear from one more person.
You dropped something.
Thank you.
Now next time the group is chosen, you have to choose me now.
Okay, DeAndre, go ahead. You're my last one.
Oh. The sun affects the equator because the sun intense heat affects the climate because it heats up the earth starting with the equator. Then that makes the climate temperature hot.
I like that. Say that one more time. Please make sure you have these details, guys. Remember, we can go back and edit our sentence if we missed something.
The sun affects the equator because the sun's intense heat affects the climate because it heats up the earth starting with the equator. Then that makes the climate temperature hot.
Good. I like that. All right, I'm gonna come around. You have about 5 more minutes to make sure your sentence is done. I'm gonna come around and stamp if it is. If it's not done, then that's going to be homework for you at a 0 till you turn it in. Okay, so you have 5 minutes to finish up your sentence. I'm gonna come around and stamp those of you that finish. You need to change. If you're done, make sure your group members have something too, please. I like that. That's okay. I wasn't.
This is not that normal. Mosquito bites should not itch this bad.
Put hand sanitizer on.
Huh?
Hand sanitizer.
We're done? Almost?
Will it burn?
Yes?
Don't look it.
Almost? That's one question? Okay, I'll come back. Right, and have a seat.
Hand sanitizer.
No, don't wait.
Miss, I'm done.
Thank you. We'll be back. Temperature is what? Heat and climate.
It'll take a minute.
The temperature and climate is usually 1 due to the intense heat.
We'll take a minute.
Climate up here.
Yeah.
You guys have the same thing, right? Yeah. Can you share with them the accuracy?
It kind of burns.
Climate makes the temperature.
No, I'm gonna show you my response here in a second so you guys can edit it a little bit.
Did it work? That's what I do.
You know what you just said? He said, why'd you steal Carlos's haircut?
You changed the words.
He said, why'd you steal Carlos's haircut?
Who's Carlos?
Yeah, the kid with the dark blue, with the dark blue shirt.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
You said you finished one?
Yeah.
You said what? No. Alright, I'm gonna show you what my example sentence, one sentence summary was. And if you're missing any details, I'd like you to edit your sentence even if I stamped you. So here are my examples. Go ahead and press that X over there, please. The sun affects locations along the equator because sunlight is very intense along the equator. Therefore, their climate has warmed.